Okay, so today we have a really unique opportunity. Uh, I'm having the pleasure of interviewing Gail Lynn. My name is Dr. Jerry Wintrob. I am a member of the committee of the North American Light Association, and we are conducting these interviews of really basically the best way to say is movers and shakers in the field of sound and light and color. So I'd like to just read this bio about Gail. In 2007, at the age of 37, Gail Lynn's dream of making a difference in the world was rudely shattered. The accumulated stress of 2 challenging relationships and 3 extremely competitive careers in the automotive, telecommunications, and film industries had decimated her physical, emotional, and psychological reserves, leaving her with a medical diagnosis of severe cardiovascular stress and on the verge of an instant heart attack. Determined to restore her health, Gail plunged into the world of energy medicine when a series of whole-body light and sound treatments reversed her diagnosis. She set out to uncover both the ancient history and modern science behind light and sound as healing therapies. Welcome, Gail.
Thank you. Thank you
So
for
happy,
having me.
so genuinely happy to have you here. So let me first just ask, how were you able to navigate this path without having the science background that someone would expect you to have?
Oh my gosh, what a great question. I've never been asked that before. And so,
Beauty.
13 years of college, trying to find, trying to get an education, 3 careers in automotive, telecom, Hollywood, but common sense, listening skills, and critical thinking.
Mm.
I feel like that is so huge. My father had a 7th grade education, but I feel like he had the most common sense of anybody I've ever met. So common sense, our bodies are sound and light beings from source, from God. So I started looking at what would we be able to do to really work on the body at a natural level. So using common sense, critical thinking, and just listening to the downloads or the energy that's coming in from source.
Oh my God. I couldn't have dreamed of a better answer than that. That's fantastic. And we get so caught up in doctor. The fact of the matter is that we all have the knowledge if we open ourselves up to it. So where did the journey lead you? Where'd you go?
Wow. I never dreamed this would be my life, never in a million years. But I remember one of my first sessions in the Harmonic Egg was I had this vision of something above when I was born, and they said, "She's here." And it was the weirdest experience ever. And I saw my dad, I saw my mom, and it wasn't them. I saw the doctors, it wasn't them. So something, was it angels or beings or, beings of light? I don't know. We're obviously excited that I was born, but why? So this journey, and I'm in automotive, and I'm learning engineering and robotics and electronics. And then I'm in telecommunications, running an international consulting firm. And then I'm in Hollywood. And it's like, now I see the pieces of the puzzle coming together: the engineering background, the international business, the film industry. I was recently asked to do a film about this.
So tell us a little more, because we don't know what the harmonic egg is. Tell us what it is.
So the harmonic egg is a sacred geometric sound and light chamber that you actually go in. It's in the shape of an egg. We used all the sacred geometry, golden mean. The delivery system is sound and light in a resonant chamber. Brilliant. If you take the consciousness of Edgar Cayce and Rife and Tesla, hopefully the audience knows those characters.
I would bet.
Yeah. And you bring that together, and even Edgar Casey said, and I'm paraphrasing, if someone would bring together the spiritual forces of sound and the spiritual forces of light, it would be a great modality for our future. And he said that in the 1940s.
Wow. Wow. And just give me a little more on how it works.
So somebody would go in there and they are in a zero gravity chair. So they're actually lying inside of this large wooden egg. And the acoustics are brilliant because we're using a type of wood that's soft, almost as if you're in an acoustic guitar. You're reclined. When you go into one of the centers, and there's centers across the United States now and internationally, the technician will ask you, what do you want to work on? And they're trained on the music selection and the light or the color selection. So you're in there reclined and they help you set an intention for your session. So it's just this beautiful embracing in a womb-like, cocoon-like, loving environment that you're in there healing in your own space, 40 minutes of music, and then there's 10 minutes of silence. We don't have silence in our world anymore. We need that silence. You can feel your heart pumping. You can feel your blood going through your veins. You can feel little aches and pains as your body's trying to communicate with you on what you need to focus on, where you need to put your energy. And so the technician at the same time is holding that space for you, setting that intention for you that of what you want to work on. And we can't make any medical claims. So we just it's a relaxation device to help bring you back and closer to your higher self so that you can learn to listen more.
But a question there is that, so if there's light and color, which is what I'm assuming. I've never been in a harmonic egg, by the way. Hopefully after this I will be. But do you? So is the client's eyes closed and still absorbing the energy even with the eyes closed?
I believe that the best way that a client can be in there is to close their eyes and just release and let go. I believe that the energy field, all of our subtle energy bodies can absorb the nanometers of the light spectrum and the wavelengths of the colored light, just like we absorb the sunlight when we're sunbathing and we have our eyes closed. So yes, it doesn't have to be where their eyes are open.
Wow. And you're saying that the session is 40 minutes, but then 10 minutes everything is actually shut off, but the energy of course is in there. So they're still bathed in the energy even with the physical things off. Is that what you're saying?
Right. Some people will still continue to hear music as that vibration happens. Victor Schauberger did a lot of work with the cosmic egg and how vibrations inside of an egg would really change the vibration, increase the vibration of water inside of an egg dispenser. And then I read an article from a German medical doctor about after you listen to relaxing music, he says 6.5 minutes of silence will help you to integrate, help you to really embody that relaxing music even more. Well, I felt like I went on a journey to ask all these healers, what did they feel integration time was? And one gentleman told me time and time again, he will ask the client as they're laying on his table, when you feel like you've integrated, raise your hand. And he said time and time again, it was 7 minutes, 50 seconds, 8 minutes, 4 seconds, 8 minutes seemed to be the magic number. And so I thought, I'm going to give people a little more time. I'm going to call it 10 minutes of silence to let them just really be with themselves, to be with their higher self, to be with spirit, and to just enjoy that space of that sacred geometric space.
And let me get a sense of, so who uses it? Is it lay people? Is it medical people? Are medical people using it in their clinics? And who owns this thing?
So a lot of people are just people who want to serve. They want to see people have a better quality of life. Are there some doctors that are using it? Yes. If you have eyes to see what this really is, then you get it. But there's a lot of medical doctors use it. A lot of DOs use it. A lot of chiropractors use it, and a lot of them don't. Right. So if they believe that they have the key to success, then they're not going to understand what this is. So when you have the eyes to see, you'll really understand it. But most of the people that are center owners are beautiful beings of light that just want to support people's process and their journey of healing.
So do you feel like um so the session is 40 plus 10, so 50 minutes, and then obviously, this is sort of, these questions are hard because it's like, well, how long does it last? Well, what happens then? Obviously every answer is personal, but um how often do people normally do it?
That's
You
a
know.
great question. And that's come up recently to maybe shift a little bit. I think a
Mhm.
lot of people, there's so many beautiful technologies out there right now that are sound and light and non-invasive. And I want to see more. I think this is where our world is going to, frequency medicine and sound and light therapies and non-invasive modalities. But people are overdoing it and they're doing something every day and they're not letting it integrate. So they're eating breakfast, they're eating lunch, and they're eating dinner all at the same time. They're not digesting
Right.
this information that's coming
Mhm.
into the body. Energy is information.
Right.
So right now we have a 5 to 7 day integration period. And sometimes I'll have somebody call up and say, I feel like I'm still integrating and it's almost 2 weeks. So everybody's different. We will have some people come in and they have this rockets going off and flowers blooming and people that have passed coming in, animals that have passed coming in, and then the next person goes in and says, I don't think anything happened.
Right.
So the
We know that
dichotomy is
one.
so fun.
Right.
I think metabolically, you don't know what it feels like when your liver enzymes are coming into a normal range. That doesn't feel like anything. Metabolically, how many things are going on with the cells, the trillions of cells.
Uh-huh.
I'm one of them that I leave the chamber, the egg, and say, I don't think anything happened. But then boom, usually it's my third day. I have lucid dreams, things are happening, things are shifting. All of a sudden, everything that I intended for is manifesting. It's happening so fast. But I personally don't feel what some people feel. I had one doctor said, I felt like it worked on my throat chakra first, then it went to the heart, back to the throat, up to the third eye. It was just going everywhere. I don't feel that stuff in there, but some people do.
Right. Well, this kind of stuff, which I am quite excited about, is the answer to me is that this energy is going to go to the place that you need it to go to, and so whatever you need, it doesn't matter what you say. I mean, your intention, of course, is to put your attention on it, but whatever you say is where it's going to go. It's not like you can control it, right? I have a question though. Are there? And I'm not a study guy. I'll just tell you, I am not a study guy. But are there people trying to, quantify it more or do studies or
We have done
something
heart
like
rate
that?
variability testing, and we've
Yeah.
done, I can't put a white paper together on 25 people or 50 people. I think the testimonials speak for themselves.
Right.
And I tried to buy all this equipment. I bought an Ansar HRV. I bought a GDV
Mm.
camera, which is a gas discharge visualization camera. Some of the
Uh-huh.
center owners have a bio well, and some of them have aura readers and the Kirklian photography, easy for me to say. And so they're doing pre and post testing. I've had people pre and post testing of blood work,
Oh, really?
MRIs, CAT scans, but they're just, a few people here and there.
Uh-huh. Is there any concerted effort to do that? I mean,
So, it's I would like to, it costs a lot of money to
that's
do
right.
something like that.
Right.
And I had one doctor tell me, she says, you know what, Gail, she's a little Texan lady. She's like, well, Gail, if people don't believe it, they don't need to come.
Well,
Okay.
but also I agree with you. I think it gets tricky. It's a slippery slope because you can, you go into that world and then suddenly um, some guy says, well, this is, that study's crap. This doesn't mean anything. And then you're sort of struggling against the powers that be that don't even understand what you're talking about in the first place.
Yeah. And I love to say to people, you know what, if you resonate with it, come give it a try.
Right.
It's as easy as that. And a lot of people, I keep the website very sterile, it's a
Mhm,
relaxation
mhm.
chamber, but I'll have, energy workers and healers look at it and they go, aha, I know what that is. I know
And,
what that can do.
and how long has it been around?
Let's see, 2016, I had the download. 2017, we were prototyping it and starting
Oh,
to sell it, which I had no intention to sell it. I was doing it for me. I thought, wouldn't it be really cool to get inside a large wooden egg and just,
uh-huh,
feel those energies? And
right.
then people were like, can I buy one? And well,
Uh-huh.
sure, you can buy one.
Yeah.
So now there's, gosh, I think almost 40 centers or more.
Oh, really? Wow.
Canada, we're in the Netherlands, we're in England, we're all over from California to North
Oh, wow,
Carolina.
wow, wow.
It has exploded, but I think this is what people are wanting. They're
Mm-hmm.
looking for this kind of modality. You're doing brilliant work with the tuning forks. I looked at them. How neat is that with the colors of the sound? And my musicians, I'm trying to get them to hold a space of intention for, love and healing for the clients. And, we're looking at holding the space of maybe some sacred geometric shapes, 2D,
Right.
3D, some colors, and just taking this egg to the next level, for
Right.
the planet, as the planet changes, as the people change, as we
Mm.
raise our
Mm.
consciousness. We need
Wow.
this.
I have to tell you that, of course, I'm sick. I never view these things as interviews. I view these as discussions. So, just to show the audience, my bottle is sacred geometry, and so it's, 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 these are, what it does is that it charges my water, so that, so believe me, I believe. I have a question though. Um, uh, you've got to, I mean, for somebody who's who obviously is thinking well outside the box as you are, do you have future projects? I mean, what are you thinking? You
Oh my
thinking?
gosh. So I don't think the egg
Oh,
structure is going to change much. It is large. It's 11 foot by 11 foot by 7 foot.
okay.
I don't know the meters. I know you have an audience that will see it in meters. They can look that
Mhm.
up. So it's
Right.
huge. And people have asked me for a home unit that they can put in the corner of a bedroom or something
Oh,
like
that's
that.
interesting.
I also, we do a lot of remote sessions on animals. And so
Mhm.
there's this whole vision of horses are fight or flight animals. A plastic bag will blow across the pasture and they're like, something's going to kill me. And they're off and running. And so I feel like the remote sessions I've done with my horse, a bag will fly across and she's like, no, there's a bag. She's
Mhm.
so calm. I'm watching her nervous system be so balanced, but I feel like they wouldn't be able to be in an enclosed space. They're very, they'll
Right.
they'll freak out. So I have some visions of, maybe a rainbow colored or a light rainbow shape where you'd put a
Mhm.
vibration pad maybe on their back. So I'm
Right.
looking at how can we help and serve, the horse community and the
Right.
animals, and people spend more on their pets than they do on themselves.
That's for sure. I'm from Brooklyn. We don't have a lot of horses in Brooklyn, but and so, um, and how do you, you know, I guess the question I have is that, um, uh, as this thing evolved, you're saying that you were using it more for yourself, and you were, well, I mean, obviously you were at this crisis, health crisis moment, and so where's, I mean, I don't have to measure your heart just by listening. By listening to you, I don't have to measure your heart, believe me. But I will say that but I'm curious, what did the doctor who was diagnosing you with the heart attack say after did you ever go back to him? You
Yes.
know, so,
It was
what did he say?
it was a naturopathic doctor in the center where I used the sound and light chamber. So they were not surprised at all when they first tested me and said, they thought the test was wrong because they're looking at me, a 37-year-old person at the time. I'm 50 now.
Right.
And they looked at the test and they said, we're going to run it again. So
Right.
severe cardiovascular stress on the heart rate
Mhm.
variability, uh, almost on the verge of an instant heart attack. I had a couple people came in and looked at the test And after the weekend, we tested the HRV, heart rate variability again, and I was in normal ranges. So in
Wow.
my engineering mind, I'm like, this couldn't have worked. I laid in this box, some rainbow colored light bulbs, some crazy music. My engineering mind said this, maybe it's because I'm, in Arizona. Maybe it's because I'm on vacation for the weekend. Maybe it's because the sun's shining today. This is how my mind thinks. And so I couldn't deny it because even my eyesight improved. My asthma went away. And I had it since I was 4. I'm like, what in the world did this thing do? I need to study it. I need to research this. I need to help people with this modality, this kind of modality.
So let me just, I'm just unclear. So what were you lying in? You weren't lying in a harmonic egg. What were you lying in before that gave you this experience?
It was a rectangular box with a rainbow colored light. And I thought it was really wonky because you could see Sylvania 40 watt. I'm looking at like, there's no way this is gonna work.
Well, this isn't right.
That, right? As a painted bulb. And
Right.
you're lying on a 4-inch foam pad. And now I've learned that there was MP3 music, which, there's so much distortions and compression of MP3 music. And the music was playing through a 4-inch foam pad. So that distortion for the nervous system. So as
Right.
I've learned over the years, I thought, let's put 2 speakers in an egg. That's just the purest sound you can get spiraling around you in sacred geometric forms. And we're using WAV files. So there's so much more clarity and so much less for the nervous system to interpret when you're using these pure files. I mean, people really want to get 1,000 songs on their iPod, but not with a WAV file. You won't get that.
Right.
But what are you doing to the nervous system? I mean, yeah, for pleasure listening, MP3s are fine. But if you're
Right.
going to really be doing this work, you need to have the purity, the intent, the heart energy of the musician. You have to have so much more.
So so the music that we're listening to in the egg is what? Is it sound? Is it actually melodic? I mean, what?
People get really bored with just droning sounds. But I also realized that every organ does something different with a different instrument, a sound wave of a different instrument, much like tuning forks. So the sound wave of a flute is a very simple sine wave, one of the oldest instruments. Drumming's an old instrument. So we're using instruments combined with the lights in the egg, but the musicians are holding the intention for something specific. We have heavy metal detox, we have reduce inflammation, we have these specific intentions that are set for the piece of music as the musician is composing them and playing them. But I focus on the sound waves of the instruments as more than I do on a 528 hertz or the solfeggio suite of frequencies, because not everybody's going to resonate with that. If I'm vibrating at 800 hertz because I've been in the egg so many times, why would I want to play 528 for myself? I want to go with something different. So I've looked at what organs work with which instruments, and we're putting the music together that way.
Oh, that's how you did that. I see. So and so, like, how many different programs are there in this thing?
About 50.
50.
Yeah. And we keep changing the music. The egg will actually start to not resonate with certain pieces of music after a while. Almost as the planet changes, as more eggs come to the planet, it feels like they're getting more powerful, almost like a self-organizing system connected to the matrix of the planet. And so a lot of times I'll listen to a piece, I said, this doesn't work in the egg anymore. So I'm creating new music as the people change, as the planet changes. It's really interesting. Never thought I would be involved with anything like this.
So obviously, I don't know if it's obvious, but obvious to me, the question is that, do you feel that the equipment itself is evolving?
Yes.
Is that there's almost an evolutionary aspect to the actual thing.
Yes.
We won't go too far out, but of course, anybody who watches me knows that I can. But is there an entity aspect to this thing in and of itself?
It has a consciousness. It is almost like we honor it. People leave and they'll touch the egg and say thank you. Some of the eggs have named themselves. I know we can go way out there.
Uh-huh.
They all have different personalities. I'll go into one of them and it'll be like, hey, let's have some fun. And the other one's like, seriously, we need to get to work. We need to do this. And so it's really interesting how each of the center owners will tell me about the personality of their egg.
Okay. All right. This is probably what, obviously, as my questions are going, this is where I lose my job. But in any event, but um, but do you feel that there's an interaction between the client and the sound that so that, in other words, the whole is greater than the sum of the parts, that the as the sound envelops the person, the there I believe that there's an interaction, there's a divine interaction between the energy of what is being presented and the person themselves, and they integrate into a higher place. You feel that makes sense?
100%. People will come out just crying and sobbing in gratitude and appreciation and love, sometimes releasing grief. And it feels like they look different. Their face will look different. Their energy looks different. There's definitely some integration happening and some special, I always want to say healing, and I know that's hard to say, special healing that takes place with them inside the egg. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing.
And so, but do you think the majority of the people that own this are medical, or they, or I won't call, I mean, I'm medical, but we would say, are they you and me type people, just, are you think more people are seekers, or are these things being prescribed?
Well, I call it a musical prescription for you.
Mm-hmm. But it's
Um,
also color and sound.
yes,
So it's not, excuse me, it's color and light, not just sound.
yeah,
Right.
exactly. And it's there's a vibration in there. The chair does vibrate slightly with a sub underneath. So you're
I
getting a
see.
sonic massage, and then
I
you have
see.
resonance. So the sound's not dissipating into a room. If you were lying on a table somewhere and just listening to speakers, it's staying in there with that wah, wah. You're getting that
Right.
whole experience in there.
Wow. 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 Well, so the last question, if there ever will be a last question, is, so how does, so for those of you in video land, the ELA, this is going to go up on the ELA website, and it's also going to end up on our YouTube channel, and uh, your contact information will be up there. But uh, can you just give a quickie on, you know, you said it's everywhere. I mean, how many states is it in the United States, for example?
Well, harmonicegg.com, under the locations, we have them listed by
I see.
state. I couldn't tell
Perfect.
you if it's in 20 states or 14 or 20 or
Right, right,
21,
right.
but
And remember, this is an international group, so it's all over the world. And um, but I would assume, just by these conversations, that it's just expanding exponentially.
2022 will be in Thailand, Peru, Norway, Denmark, New Zealand, COVID willing. And it's just, I can't tell you how humbled I am by the amount of calls we get daily internationally. How can I get an egg? It's
Fantastic.
insanity.
Okay. Well, uh, I want to say thank you. Thank you so much for this time and this discussion. Um, this is great. This is absolutely great. Hopefully, we could, you know, as this thing expands, we'll have you back, and we'll do some more. And this is really great. So,
Thank
thank you
you.
so much.